Hello, and welcome back to WePlay D&D. Otherwise known now as the Root of Corruption campaign.
Ooh.
We are back after a few weeks. Most of us, or like me, N5, and Rennie have moved house. We've sort of been running all over the place, which is why we haven't been gaming recently. And so it's just taken us a while to get back into the swing of things, but here we are. I am Rose, the Dungeon Master for this game, and I will be playing all the monsters and hopefully soon-to-be dead things. Just going along the list at the bottom, we have Vince playing our Tiefling Monk Silence.
Yeah, hello, and salutations.
We have Lime Man playing our half-orc druid Gomi.
Ah, my mic was muted. That's me.
When he appears. Moving on.
I'm here. Sorry, my mic was muted.
I guessed that. We have N5 playing our Elven Ranger.
That's me.
And last but never least, unless you're counting height, we have Rennie playing Ella, the gnome druid. Gnome wizard, even.
Yeah, wizard. Hello.
Off to a great start.
Oh, yeah. We are
A bit
at the
rusty.
peak of professionalism.
It's almost like a Xenon stream.
When we last left the party so many weeks ago, they had just returned to Whitehurf. They had been out on an adventure to try and find some more information about the threat they are currently facing, which they now do know. A second. Which, for those of you, if you are just joining us, it can best be summed up as there is an evil druid trying to take over the world. Nice, simple, to the point. Having returned to Whitehurf, which is where they believe the events are going to happen due to a personal relationship the druid had with some of the founders of the town, they are now awaiting a meeting with Nimtolian, one of the Lord's advisors and wizard, to take them to the resting place of the dragon, which they believe is tied in and may even be working with the druid from beyond the grave. And so, that's a really poor explanation. Go watch the previous videos. Let's begin. The hour is late enough to be early, and the village is dark and quiet when the gentle tapping comes upon your cabin door. None of you are asleep. You are expecting it, and you rise and quietly greet Nimtolian, dressed in a dark hooded cloak. He looks grim, but pleased to see you are all ready, and it isn't long before he is leading you through the village, not skulking in a way to arouse suspicion, but at a pace meant to say you are taking an evening stroll through town, perhaps restless for all the recent events. He leads you to the chapel and enters through a small side door. Closing it behind you, you find yourselves lit by candlelight, and the cleric is waiting for you. Nodding to Nimtolian with a solemn expression, he takes you behind the altar, through a wooden doorway, and down into the tombs. The air down here is damp and oppressive, an almost palpable feeling that you could cut, you feel, if you swung a blade hard enough. You walk past the silent stones of the deceased, numbering only a few dozen, but there are many places for future people to be interred here, if they have earned the right. Eventually, you reach the end of the tombs. possibly the farthest point you could travel. And here is a slightly larger area containing a altar or raised dais upon which there stands an empty coffin. Its name has now been scratched out and looks to have been scratched out fairly recently, and the coffin sort of sits ajar and is empty. Nimtolian doesn't really look at it. He more walks behind it and goes up to a wall. He holds his hand up towards the wall, and runes begin to glow upon it. And before too long, a loud knock, easily travelling and echoing throughout the halls, rings out. And the wall shifts, a few spots of dust and dirt falling from now visible seams. Nimtolian then puts his shoulder against it and begins to push. With a little bit of help from you guys, it eventually swings open. On the other side, the room is made from carved stone. It's rougher than the rest of the tombs, as if it was built in a hurry and then just left. The room itself is large, but its size is lessened by the fact that most of it is taken up with a large mound in the centre. It was a dragon, emphasis on was. It's now mainly just a pile of bones and a few pieces left of sort of half-rotten, crumbling scales and skin. If it was alive, it would almost look as if it was curled around itself. But now it's just a cluttered pile. Knowing what to look for, you can see that when it was alive, this was a large, powerful beast. Its wingspan easily beating 100 feet from tip to tip. Its body was almost as big as the barge that you guys travelled on recently. And dumped by it, almost comically in size, is the head, the trophy head, that previously was adorned in Beric's war room. It's, even with dead glass eyes and the teeth, it gives you a much better sense of how this thing would appear if it were alive, and that word is simply terrifying. Nimtolian sort of turns to you guys and says, well, here lies the body of the dragon. It has been here since the month after its defeat. No one knows that it lies here, except Beric, Mira, the father and I, and now the four of you. He gestures towards a door and says, that door is 4 feet of stone, woven construction. There is no magic involved in it, and it cannot be as such detected via magical means. There's no handle involved either. You can only open it with the knock spell, and even then, you must know it is there. He sort of stands to the side and lets you investigate, poke, prod, do whatever you want.
Who knew it was there? Beric, Mira, Nim.
Mira, the father, the cleric who maintains and operates the chapel. And, of course, himself.
Sylph will walk up to the the dragon's remains and sort of just start not really picking, but sort of looking through and seeing if there's anything that stands out to him.
Yep. Not much stands out. The bones are quite light, like lighter than you'd expect for a beast this size. They're darker than you'd expect normal bones to be. These are almost covered like slate. And other than sort of, as I said, a few patches of scales and skin, which as you sort of pick them up, they just sort of crumble and decay. Yeah, there's nothing which really jumps out at you as anything.
Gomi will ask Nimtolian, is there any way of knowing if anyone else has been in here?
he shrugs and says, "Look at the dust." And sort of looking down at your feet, you can see there is sort of a layer of dust which has settled in this place, and you can easily see sort of some of it billowed slightly when you opened the door, and you can easily see where you guys walked in. Other than that, there's no signs that anyone has been here in a very long time. Actually, no, that's a lie. There is one set of recent footprints leading up to the dragon head and then returning.
I just want to point out that in Lord of the Rings, elves can walk on snow. So maybe they could walk on dust.
See, I was thinking like a spell which allows you to become incorporeal or something, which wouldn't disturb dust.
So,
True.
Ella, as our resident library, what do you think about this? Do you know anything about dragons or anything that we're not seeing?
Can I investigate the bones in the head more, Rose?
Yep, you can do.
Is it pointless to do that?
No, not at all.
It's a good roll.
That's a very good roll.
My investigation's awesome.
Yeah, even Valley at 15's pretty good.
Yeah. Could I ask you to follow that up with a Arcana check?
Sure. Whoops.
It's okay. Okay, you investigate the bones, and you sort of easily see that this dragon, shortly before its death, was in combat. Some of the bones are sort of smashed and broken. Its wings, especially, seems to have taken a lot of damage. You find one piece of what you assume is its spine, sort of one giant vertebra, which is just almost cleaved in two by some giant strike, and you presume that was the killing blow. Magically, you do get a sense of magic off the bones. Dragons are inherently magical creatures. But you'd sort of expect that this magic would have faded over time, and you're kind of surprised to still feel such a strong presence coming off them. You're not really sure what that means.
I would relay this information to my fellow cohorts. Yeah, I don't know if the magic that's left on it would mean that somebody else has been here and tampered, or if it's just the dragon was that powerful.
I mean, is there the possibility that it's waiting to be raised magically or something like that?
From ashes? I'm not sure you could do that.
Well, from bones and ashes. I mean, if they've still got magic within them, there's something going on.
I don't know. I'm not allowed to practice necromancy.
The father, William, the cleric, he just pipe up. There are certain magics which allow the dead to come back if they are deemed worthy by the gods and if the need is argued, but I am not sure if it would work with dragons. They are inherently much greater beasts, much stronger creatures that almost have an essence of divine in them naturally. I do not know if a return from the death is possible for them unless they took the arcane means and aimed to become a Draco Leech or Draco Lich.
Yeah.
And you guys have heard of Draco Liches, but in sort of children's tales and sort of ancient books, Ella especially, you sort of know the theory of them. You would have almost no accurate details or personal experience with them.
Right.
Given the knowledge we possess on what forces are at play, though, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that it is just waiting to be resurrected.
Does the dragon have a name?
It does, which you guys should remember. And I should have a
Arperoxis.
note.
I got it in my notes. It's Arperoxis.
That sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write it down. It's too hard to spell correctly, I think.
I just wrote it out in syllables to what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? Hydroperoxide? No.
No, that's an elemental golem.
God.
So, Sylph, in any case, will sort of lean down, sort of nudge Ella. So, why don't we, can we take some bones with us? And so if it does resurrect, it won't be complete, maybe?
Nim Tolin sort of thinks about this and says, we could try.
Or at least keeping them separated. I mean, we're keeping all these magical bones in one place. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah,
bringing the
let's,
head down.
Well, I've got
Exactly.
that gentle repose spell that should keep beings from being resurrected for up to 10 days.
That's... I will cut in as a DM here. You know that gentle repose is more about preventing the body rotting and decomposing more than preventing resurrection. It's actually used to prolong the body long enough to allow for resurrection.
Oh, but it says preventing from becoming undead.
That's like a zombie.
Oh, bummer. I would have picked a different spell.
Yeah, resurrection is more returning to actual life, as opposed to false life, which is what the undead are often seen.
Okay.
So why was the head brought down to the crypt?
The notes you mentioned in the Druidic book mentioned the dragon. We thought it was best if everything was stored down here, because if this dragon is in play, I would much rather have it locked away than potentially watching over everything in our war room.
This
That
dragon,
makes-
that does make sense, but this dragon was incredibly powerful. If it was resurrected in here, I dare say it could get out.
The druid speaks the truth.
So
Well, I
it
guess-
might be best, since the head is already mounted and easier to transport, it might be best if we move that somewhere else. Granted, not the war room, but somewhere else that's possibly safe.
Could I put it
the
in the bag
castle.
of holding?
Yeah, you could stick it in the bag of holding.
Well,
It
that's
would
good.
take up a lot of space in there.
Well,
I
if we're
mean,
not
couldn't
using
it
it
just
right
be
now,
moved to the castle dungeons, and that would be locked up in the cellar somewhere? Great.
would Gomi know the theory about how a bag holding works? Since it's more of a wizard's thing, isn't it?
You would have some. Actually, you wouldn't really. You've never had a personal experience with them.
Yeah.
Much in the same way as Dracoliches. You knew they existed, but that's not so much from personal experience. You just know they are more or less magical bags which can hold things.
Well, in that case, Gaimi will say perhaps a bag of holding is a good idea. That way it's with us.
And we can monitor it constantly.
Exactly. And if it isn't with the body, then if someone comes in here to try and resurrect it, a headless dragon isn't going to be particularly helpful.
Well, I mean, if we are actually, if we're gonna put the head in a bag, we might as well check to see if maybe the teeth can be used as weapons. I mean, break it to bits. We don't care.
I care a little bit. I mean, should take the teeth out. That's fine, but try to keep it intact a little bit.
Why are you interested that it's intact if it's possibly going to be an enemy of ours?
No, I said take the teeth out. I just think it's cool. It's a dragon head.
You think it's cool and not terrifying?
It's potentially terrifying.
So here's the question then for Ella. Could dragon teeth be used to slay dragons, or do they have magical powers in some kind of way? I mean, sure, we could just take the teeth out just to make it toothless, but does it have an advantage for us more than that? Roll insight.
Okay.
That'd be
Who's the
arcane.
DM here? You think you could potentially use the teeth? Not so much as arrowheads. They're the wrong shape for that.
Aw.
They're more sort of curved fangs, so they're more meant for ripping and tearing rather than piercing, if that makes sense.
We give them to the Doom Marine then, and we're good.
Yeah. They could easily be made into daggers. They are about the size of a dagger, just for a sense of scale. So you could easily wrap them and sort of have them with handles. You're not sure whether that would actually give you any benefit, or you can sense they're magical, but it's not as if it's an active magic. It's sort of just like a passive radiation effect, almost a lingering magical effect.
Well, it wouldn't do any harm to turn them into daggers, and you could say you have dragon tooth daggers.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm down for that.
That said, why don't we just go ahead and pop the jaw off? So at least, again, I don't like leaving this thing whole. I really don't.
We're
But it won't
moving
be
its
whole.
head.
I know we're removing its head, but I mean, if someone gets the head, why don't we also have to make them find the jaw too? I mean, do you see where I'm
Oh, I
going?
see. If there's any other disjointed bones, we could always just send them on a separate direction.
Exactly.
But I mean, popping off the jaw, considering the head's pretty intact and preserved because it was hung in a throne room for a while, it might be best if we remove like a leg.
Yeah.
The head is semi-preserved. The head was taxidermied,
Nice.
so the leather has been cured. The eyes are glass. Sort of the bone's been treated, so it's been artificially preserved. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so we'd be ruining something that could be a trophy of the Lord. Rather than do that, we might as well just send maybe some other bones on its way. Some smaller bones, perhaps, which it can't do anything without.
Fuck the Lord.
Nimtolian coughs at that.
But what we I'm thinking that maybe since here is a little bit of leather, dragon leather or dragon skin that is preserved, maybe we can just skin it and maybe we can make armor out of it.
You can see there wouldn't be enough on the head to make any sort of reasonable armor out of it.
Well, maybe like just
Codpiece.
pauldrons or like bracers or whatever.
You could try and make some braces out of it. You need to find a leather worker able to work with it.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
for now, let's just put the head in the bag of holding and keep it with us, because the idea of semi-magical dragon bones lying around the place doesn't seem like a great idea.
Can we get the teeth out first?
Yeah. Carefully.
Yep. So you have to dismount the head to successfully sort of open the jaw, just by the way that it's been sort of mounted onto the board. So you unscrew it from the back and sort of taking your time, kind of eerily in this dead tomb, like you're in this giant, mostly dark tomb, just working and slowly sort of popping these teeth out one at a time. They come out a lot easier than you'd expect. All the flesh has rotted away and is sort of, so there's no gums really holding them in place. So basically you unscrew the wire or unknot the wire which is holding it in place, and sort of, yeah, you're able to pull out, I'd say at least about 20 usable dragon teeth.
Oh, that's nice.
There were more in there, but much the same as the bones, they are showing signs of combat and sort of fighting. Some of them are cracked, others of them are sort of just non-existent or too blunt to really use effectively.
While that's happening, Sylph will walk up to the skeleton proper and attempt to pop out the main, well, I guess the main wing bone, we'll call it, just with the intent of removing the main structure needed for the wing. Just the main one big bone.
You are able to find it. You don't actually need to pop it out. It appears as if gravity and time have done that work for you. It's just sort of lying collapsed next to the main rib cage.
Okay, then in that case, then I'll... Well, like, how long is it?
1 second. It's at least 15 to 20 feet.
Well, damn.
This was a big
Yeah.
dragon. This was sort of the main bone to sort of help it with its muscles get airborne.
Well, in that case, Sylph will attempt to snap it in half.
Make a strength check, please.
Oh. That's a strength save. Where...
yes.
I'm not able to click on...
So, straight D20 roll, add your strength.
Duh, okay. For some reason, I can't click it like I used to be able to.
No, they don't seem to let you do ability modifier.
Shit.
You are unable to break it. You do see the one on the other side has been broken. It looks like an old break, probably happened during the fighting. But yes, this one remains pristine.
Well, Gomi will just point to the other one and go, since that one's already broken, to the Imtolian, is it possible we could have maybe some men escort it away from here temporarily?
We could try. We don't have that many men available who I would, or quite frankly, who I would trust with such a task. But we can definitely try.
Well, having it in 3 separate locations is probably better than 2. Just in case.
Very well.
Sorry, go ahead.
I will gather some people and make sure that happens.
While they were picking the teeth out of the skull as well, Gomi would want to have a quick word with Intolian.
Yep.
And just say, I've had an idea about our current theories that the blasting powder may actually reappear during this festival. Do you know the... Oh, bollocks, I forgot what it's called now. Locate object spell?
I do not. I am familiar with its workings, but I have sadly never found a scroll or book that I could scribe the spell from.
As I know it, would I be able to teach it to him? Because I just know
No,
it from being a
due to the
druid.
different styles of magic.
Okay. I just...
Wizards specifically need a scroll or spell book to copy the spell from and learn it from.
Okay. I'll just say to him then, I'm aware of how it works, but I doubt our magics are compatible. I was intending to use it to try and locate it, but it's only got a limited range. I just thought I'd ask you, because if you know it as well, we could cover a much larger area.
No, sadly I don't. I have been meaning to track it down. Maybe after these events I will turn to that with a bit more serious thought.
Well, I've not used it yet, but I should imagine it's pretty helpful.
Indeed. Is there anything else
Yes.
you would like to do?
Nimtolian.
Yes, my friend.
Do you know of a smith who could turn a couple of these teeth into daggers for us?
We could ask at the castle. We do have a smith there as well as the one in town, but for this I would rather keep it with someone we can trust. Goth.
Well, M5 just died.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So yeah, so I'm sure we could find someone who would be able to do the work. It would probably take a few days, however.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it taking a few days, but I know that I don't have the skills to actually make them into daggers, and I don't think anyone else in the party has it either.
Mm-mm.
Very well. They probably would not be up at such an early hour right now, but I'm sure we can get that done for you.
Excellent.
I have a question for
Yep.
Nimtolian. Whose coffin outside the room is up? Whose coffin is that? Why is the name scratched out?
1 second, I need to double check my notes because I'm completely blanking on a name here.
Got me used to Dovahkiin.
What?
Ah, don't worry. There's a crappy Skyrim joke.
It was Varys's tomb. And you guys know Varys was the druid that I believe when Beric brought the head down here, he did that because it is not like a lord to show anger in public. But I know that he and Varys were close, almost like brothers.
So does that mean his body was here?
No, we never found the body.
Ah, okay.
That
Okay.
was merely there as a shrine, almost, to the man. We thought it was appropriate that we would at least remember him and honor him by having him guard the resting place of the foe which claimed his life.
Well, that raises, well, possibly answers the question as to why he turned after supposedly being resurrected.
Well, no, they never found the body. That's what.
Oh
he
yeah,
said.
I mean like magical connections and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right then.
I'm done.
Yep.
Nothing else? Okay. Nimtolian will lead you back out, and with one sort of last look over the tomb, he will actually ask Gomi if you could help carry one of the dragon's wing bones, as you guys asked.
Like I was asking Gomi, and I've got a -1 strength modifier.
It's more just where it's awkward to carry, as I said. The bones are actually lighter than you'd expect, but still quite strong.
Yeah, it's fine. I can carry it. Or help carry it.
So yeah, as you close the door behind you and you sort of hear clickings of mechanisms and other stuff, and soon enough it's sealed, and you can't even tell there was a door there. The seam is practically non-existent, and it's only by knowing that it was there that you can see where it was, basically. And yes, you go back through the catacombs and up into the chapel to find that dawn has broken. The sunlight is now streaming through the windows, and Nimtolian sort of looks up and around and sort of says, the festival starts today. The wedding is still a few days away, but the actual activities, fun, and such will be during the lead up to then, over the next few days. So a lot of our guards will be on station or involved in managing the populace and such there. So we are going to be pretty under pressure up until the wedding.
Oh.
Well, in that case, we might as well take the time to, once it gets a little bit more day and people are up and moving, to try to investigate the town and just try to take a look at everything and see if there's anything amiss. Because, again, if we've got some rogue kobolds with blasting powder or something like that,
They wouldn't be in town, though.
Well, I'm wondering if the blasting powder is intended to be used at the festival. I do have a plan for possibly finding that. I might need your help, though, Ella.
Okay.
My plan is I can travel much faster as a bear than I can as a me. So, if I become a bear, whilst using detect object, I can cover a lot more ground a lot quicker. And to stop me from being attacked by anybody who thinks I'm just a rampaging bear at a festival, it might be best if I have somebody with me.
Yeah.
It only lasts for 10 minutes.
If there are any magic shops in town, we could see if I could find that spell. And I could help cast it too.
You know there aren't really any magic shops. Nimtolian is probably the only real magic user that you guys have found, seen, interacted with in this town. Magic is pretty rare, especially out in...
Did we lose Rose?
No, I'm still here.
Ah, you cut off.
Just cut out.
Okay. Magic is pretty rare in such a rural place as this.
Okay, then never mind. But yeah, we can charge through the woods.
Actually, let me double check something, because I think one of the other animals I've got might be even quicker, cover even more ground.
And, oh yeah.
Just keep in mind that the elf and the cool tiefling were not as quick as a bear or an animal, probably.
You are, because you've got the extra movement speed.
Yeah,
So,
but the elf,
go
you know.
40. Yeah, the elf can't.
And I think the gnome is at Bigger Viscit with only a 25 speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the gnome can ride a bear.
I can ride.
Well, I could just become a riding horse, and then anybody could ride, for want of a better word, and then that can travel 60 feet. As the spell only lasts 10 minutes, it might be quicker.
That's true.
but at the same time, we're probably going to have to do this daily, just in case, until something does happen. Does mean I'm also down a bear form.
I could also do the Find Familiar spell and get a bird of some sort and just kind of scout the area.
That could also be helpful.
Well, in that case, I mean, I might as well go range around the town. Because, I mean, the forest is my home, so...
We should probably stick at least into pairs, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, you guys part ways with Nimtolian, who sort of hefts the bone up and carries it to the castle. Do you give him the teeth as well to give to the blacksmith, or do you guys want to keep hold of them for now?
Well, I'd probably keep 4, and he can have the other 16.
That's fine.
Because you never know when you might need some dragon teeth.
That's very true.
Okay, as you guys walk back into the tavern, the Swift Runner, and despite what it looks here, it's actually quite busy and bustling. There's a lot of traders and merchants and other people in for the festival, as well as the fact that it's currently breakfast time means a lot of the locals are in as well, eating food and sort of having a warm meal as well. Silence.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. You notice several kids, just part of sort of a larger family group. They're sort of looking at you and whispering amongst themselves. You're sort of used to this being a tiefling, but it's just something that you notice.
Hmm. Well, they can look all they want.
Yep.
You could go say hi.
No.
No.
So, you guys want to do some patrolling around the general area?
Might as well.
Yeah.
If I
Are we
understood that
splitting up?
We're going to have to if I'm running around as a horse. Well, at least into pairs.
The elf and I can check out the forest.
Just be careful.
Yeah, I figure just within the vicinity of the town to see what we see. See if there's any signs of kobolds or otherwise, nasties.
Yep. You are sort of aware that the militia and sort of the small retinue of knights that Lord Marsedge brought are doing basically the same thing as well. So you're pretty confident you can cover the entire sort of town perimeter. And sort of, just take a look.
So here's something that I've learned as a soldier. And that is that right now we can't search anything in the name of the Lord. What would be ideal is we would get something so that we can say that this is official business.
Like
So
a
that we
deputy.
can- What?
Like a deputy.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I should have asked Nimtolian before he...
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
We could always just head up to the fort before we start and ask.
So, for example, if I find a caravan, I want to search that
I
caravan.
knew that's where it was going.
But yeah, it's just to, like, I think we should at least ask if we could get deputized.
It would be helpful even if we do find something else. Like if I do detect blasting powder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to take me a while to cast that Find Familiar spell, so I can do that while you guys go get deputized.
How long does it take? Is it an hour?
I thought so, yeah. It's a ritual.
Okay. Which actually I should look up to see whether this is Actually, I'll just click it. It'll be quicker. Because if this is a ritual, it'll be even easier.
Yeah,
Which
finding
is
it
not.
takes 1 hour.
Okay.
Locate object takes 1 action, so that's sort of less than 6 seconds to cast.
So just, I mean, it says duration, concentration up to 10 minutes.
That's mine, not Rennie's.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
But, so you're concentrated during those 10 minutes.
It means I can't cast another spell that relies on concentration while I've got it up.
Okay.
Also, if he takes damage, he would have to roll a concentration check to maintain the spell.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Never mind then. You have that all sorted out. Should we go to the Lord of the Castle and see if we can get deputized then?
That would probably be best.
So you guys sort of eat breakfast while you're discussing this, and now that it's sort of more a civilized time of morning, you guys head off towards the castle.
I'd go back to our cabin and cast that spell.
Yep. Just quickly, what familiar do you want to summon?
I would think, let's see, a hawk.
A hawk again? Yep, no worries. Basically the same one as last time?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you sort of do the spell, and much as last time, using a handful of leaves, you burn them over this brazier, and the smoke starts to sort of swirl and coalesce into the shape of a hawk, which then becomes tangible and sort of gives out a small screech and sort of flutters over and lands on the banister of this small sort of veranda, waiting for your input/commands.
Okay.
In order to actually use that though, doesn't Rennie have to like leave her own body effectively?
If she wants to see through its eyes, she can.
Okay, but it can follow tasks just on its own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
Sorry to interrupt.
no, it's and I think if it's within 100 feet, I can communicate telepathically. Yeah. So I'd try to telepathically give it the image of kobolds and barrels, I guess, and then just send it on its way.
Yep. It takes off to the sky, and I'm assuming you've added in a thing that once it finds them, report back to you?
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, you send it off on its way, and you sort of see it flying up and above and sort of start circling wider and wider.
I really need to name that thing.
The three of you, Gomi, Silence, and Sylph, you guys start walking up to the castle. Silence, you start spotting more kids who sort of see you, and more specifically your lack of horns, and are sort of pointing and whispering amongst themselves, some running away, sort of some running to their parents. You're not sure what's happening. Normally you don't cause this much of a fuss. Even some adults seem to be looking at you strangely, and sort of, you see some of them sort of making holy signs and sort of giving you a wide berth. You're used to occasionally getting attention, but not this much. But no one directly approaches you.
They should do holy signs. I think, fellows, that it's best that we get to the castle as soon as possible. Something is afoot. Yes, my elven companion.
Silence, what's going on? It's, normally people pay us no mind, but, I mean,
people pay elves don't mind, you mean?
Well, when I say us, I mean us as a group.
That is true. I don't know. It's probably the lack of horns, or maybe I'm just very, very handsome.
Oh, it's probably the lack of horns. Anyway, you're right. We should definitely hurry up.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys sort of pick up your pace and you guys walk up to the castle. The guards recognize you, wave you in, and it doesn't take you long before you sort of find yourself talking to or approaching Lord Beric. You see he's currently in discussion with Zennifer, his daughter, and Christoph, her fiance, and they seem to be discussing flower arrangements and such in preparation for the wedding. And you notice Beric almost seems relieved to have to leave the conversation and sort of join you guys.
Well, Gomi will approach and just say, I'm sorry to interrupt, my lord, but we've had some ideas on how we might locate the blasting powder or anyone trying to interfere with the festivities, and we thought you might be able to help us with it.
Ah, excellent, excellent. Do excuse me, my dear. I just need to go and deal with this. And he sort of leads you off into the war room, basically, or the conference room where you guys previously discussed things. And it's sort of, it's much the same as you left. It's sort of mainly lit by a fire, otherwise quite dark and sort of more homely than the rest of the hall. And I'm guessing you explained to him about locate object and your sort of current plans?
Yeah.
Okay. He agrees to basically give you a writ, basically a written note with his seal upon it, which basically says that for the time being, you are you operate with his authority, and you are acting with the interests of the kingdom at heart, basically.
Is it just one for all of us or one for each of us?
He only gives you one for all of you, but he writes down each of your names on it.
Okay.
I was hoping for a badge.
And they don't do badges here.
Well, I'll just quickly mention to him then that as part of our plans, we might need to split into two separate groups, so we might end up needing two writs.
He sort of nods and says, It is unconventional that I write two duplicates, but in this case, I suppose I will make an exception. And he does write out another one and sort of again press his seal into some melted wax and sort of gives you a second one.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you so much, Lord Beric.
Just remember that when you act with those, you act under my name.
Do not worry, we will not disappoint, or what would be the word?
We'll never... Yeah, go on.
Now you go. Go on, silence, go on, talk to me.
Well, you see, my lord, true freedom is found in discipline, as you well know. And life is only lived by those who die living it. We would never, ever do anything to disgrace your name.
I hope your words are true, my friend. Now, if you excuse me, I dread to think what else my daughter will cost me before these days are out, so I must return to the planning.
Can we cut to a photo of Xenifer?
No.
In the chat? Right.
Please do not use that photo. They are alike in name only.
What photo?
Oh dear.
We will explain after.
You sound so stressed.
It's really hard to explain in a video without showing it.
Follow Vince's Instagram to see it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you guys get that. 1 second, let me just roll something.
Thank you, Vince.
You're welcome.
Before we
Look at it.
On your way out, you guys sort of come round a corner, and Silence, you bump into someone. You bump into a maid, and she looks quite apologetic until she sees you. Then she sort of gives a shriek and hurries off round a corner.
All right, something's going on, and I'm not liking it.
I thought that's how people normally reacted.
I don't know, does he have his money pouch? You do.
Bum, bum, bum.
You have your money pouch.
Do you even have that much money in it anymore, though?
You should be holding on to the writ.
Actually, I'm not sure if you would have your money pouch because you never replaced it after getting it stolen last time.
No, we did. I'm pretty sure we ended up getting a new pouch before we left the last
But
town.
then it got stolen again.
Oh, yeah, of course it did. Well, Paul.
That's true.
Silence, I'll gladly hold on to your money for you.
Well, I don't have any money, but you need to hold on to the writ. Our deputy writ.
Okay, and that
Because obviously I can't be trusted with it.
not a problem. So Sylph will pocket the writ and try to keep it close in where it can't be easily reached by wandering hands.
Yep.
Also, I need a hood.
You are aware that sort of the general store in town would offer cloaks and such, and you could probably buy a hooded one there if you have the money.
Exactly.
But look who doesn't have any money.
Do you say, like, you need a hood in the presence of Gomi?
Yeah, I do.
Well, Gomi would just say, do you want some money to get a hood?
Yeah, I would.
Gomi would say, all right then, just make sure you do your chores. And gives you, like, a couple of silver. Since I'm assuming it won't be any more than a couple of silver.
No, it won't.
Which I will immediately hand off to Sylph.
Okay, Silence. Let's go get you a hood. Is our mutual friend, we'll call him, maybe spreading lies about you?
Quite possibly. Or it might just be that I look a bit strange now.
Maybe, but I'm not aware that
Probably the former.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything that would make people any more scared of a tiefling without horns.
True. Me neither.
Well,
So let's get me that hood.
Yep.
While you're doing that, I'll head back to meet up with Ella and give her this writ.
Yep. So you guys split up. Silence and Sylph, you guys easily travel to the store. You guys have been here sort of several times before, and you easily buy a cloak with a hood. It's not the fanciest, but it's sort of designed to be practical. So it'll keep the vein off. It'll, it draws up. It's got a nice weight to it, so it won't just billow in the wind, etc. It's a fairly nice cloak for what you pay for it, which would be about 4 silver pieces.
Cool.